bet you didn't think you'd see me again. Well, Mommy negotiated and I came out pretty good. So, why don't you watch the video, enjoy yourself, and maybe I'll see you again soon.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm really excited you're here. If you're new, welcome. And if you're coming back, I love you guys so much. And we're going to get right into today's DIYs. We are going to be making 4 gorgeous spring DIYs, all Dollar Tree, all $5 or less. Let's go. I hope this DIY screams, I'm ready for spring. I've got this butterfly cutout, a metal butterfly wind chime, and some gorgeous kind of teal contact paper. I love it. I'm going to paint the back side with my Rust-Oleum white linen chalk paint. And then on the other side, I'm going to take the contact paper and I just cut out a square that's bigger than the butterfly. And I'm just going to press it on and kind of roll off the paper as I go. That way I don't get any bubbles. And then I'm going to take my brayer that I got at Amazon, and I'm going to use that to flatten the whole surface, and then I'm going to take a utility knife and cut around all the edges. Just to make sure there aren't any little excess edges hanging over, I'm going to take my nail file, and I'm just going to, in a downward motion, go all the way around, and that takes care of it. I'm going to take some little snips, and I'm going to cut off, or actually just pull off, those extra pieces that made it a wind chime, and then I'm going to position what's left of it on top. I'm going to slide a little piece of paper towel under each of the top wings. I want to paint those white. I know the orange and yellow is pretty, but for this I wanted it to be white. I'm going to dry it off with my heat tool from Amazon, and then I'm just going to carefully bend the wings in and kind of position them so they look like they're in motion more. And then I'm going to use my hot glue because this is very light, doesn't require more, but of course you can use something more heavy duty like E6000 if you want. And then I'm just going to place it right on top of the other butterfly. Now this piece is going to go on a sign, and I'm going to use this Dollar Tree decal and this Halloween sign. I had it from Dollar Tree a long time ago. I'm going to remove that ghost on the front, and we're actually going to make the back the front now. I'm going to paint it in my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to do kind of a rough coat because I want this to look distressed. And once it is all painted, I'm going to, just kind of go up and down so it looks like it has some wood grain lines in it. Then I'm going to take my square ruler and draw some shiplap lines. First, I'm going to cut out the Be Humble portion of this decal because that's what I want for this one. I look at butterflies as they're just so beautiful, but they're not aware of their beauty because they start off as, caterpillars. So Be Humble seems like it goes perfectly with that. And here I am drawing my shiplap lines with pencil. And I learned this technique from my friends Kay and Trish at the Crafting Cousins. I'll link them down below. And what you do is you get your hands wet and then you just kind of smudge the pencil mark. Now, if you over smudge, that's really okay. I wipe away the excess of the water, and when it's all done, I'm going to go back with my white chalk paint and a very chippy brush, and I'm just going to go over it till it looks like the way I want it to. And I can always add more pencil if I want and do the paint and just kind of go back and forth till it looks just the way I want it to. And now I'm going to take that chippy brush and just do the dry brushing, and that's where you just put a little bit on your brush, you wipe most of it off, that's what I have that little paper there for, and then you go back over, and that way you don't over paint. But I want it to look old and distressed, and this really gives that look. Then I'm going to take my sanding sponge. I'm just going to lightly go over those lines so that there isn't like kind of raised up portions from the paint since I went over it again. I just want it to be smooth. Now that it is, I'm going to take care of the back. I'm going to cover it with some craft paper. So I'm just going to cut a piece. I had a little wrinkled piece that I had already torn off. I figured why not use it? It doesn't really matter. So I'll get it closer to the size, and then I will just go ahead and hot glue it directly on, and then I cut away the excess. I find that it's so much easier to do it this way than to try to cut the exact shape. And then I just take my little scissors and I'll just go around. Now I don't want to lose my hole, so I'm just going to take a pencil and poke right through, and that way it'll go through the paper and I can go ahead and put the hanger back in. And then I decided to take the side of my pencil and just kind of go around the edges. Now I am going to change, this is the original twine that came with it, but I'm going to change it to some white twine that I have from the Dollar Tree. So right now I'm just figuring out where am I going to put the butterfly and where am I going to put the decal. So I think I like where I've got it. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the decal. It is sticky. So I'll go ahead and just set that on there right where I want it. I don't need to put Mod Podge for this. And this is going to be an inside sign, and so I'm actually not even going to put Mod Podge over the whole thing. You absolutely can if that's something you like to do. And then I'm going to take my E6000 and I'm going to put that kind of around the back of the butterfly, and then in the middle of that I'll add some hot glue. That way it'll stick right away so I can keep working if I need to. And then I'm going to take my butterfly and I'm going to put it at a slight diagonal up on the top left. And then I'm going to take that white string that I had and attach that. This was so inexpensive, basically $4 plus paint and things like that. And I bought all these things before the price of the Dollar Tree went up. And I hope you guys like it.
Have you subscribed to my mommy's channel? I heard some of you haven't subscribed yet, and I can't figure out why. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. You won't regret it.
I am super excited about this DIY. I've got these napkins from the Dollar Tree, these 2 little flower wood cutouts, and some rope from Walmart and Mod Podge. I end up not using the rope, but you'll see what I'm going to use later. So I'm just going to give them a quick sand, make sure the surface is nice and smooth. These are 2-ply napkins, which means you have to remove 1 ply. So if it's a 3-ply, you have to remove 2 plies because what you want is just that top piece that has the print on it. If you love doing decoupage, I have a mega video with just that, and I will link it down below. I know you will really enjoy it. Once I get 2 napkins separated from the extra ply, then I save that extra ply just to wipe things up later. You know, I never waste anything. I'm going to put my Mod Podge all over the top, and not lumpy though. Like, I try to flatten it out as much as possible. And then I'm going to carefully start in the middle and lay down my napkin and work from the middle out. And I do have to reposition it once because that happens sometimes. They're so thin, but be really careful. I normally put saran wrap down and then try to smooth it out, but I didn't have any handy, and I would recommend that. I'm going to dry it with my heat tool from Amazon. Then I'm going to take a nail file. I love this trick. Only going in a downward motion, go all the way around the sides gently, and it comes off perfectly. I just love it, but make sure it's dry. Don't do it wet. I need to drill a couple holes, or 4 holes in these. And so what I'm going to do is lay them on top of each other the exact same way, clamp them together, and then I'm going to use a little piece of craft paper on top so that I don't make a big mess. I'm going to drill the hole. And I'm going to make 4 holes total. I'm done with that now, and I'm going to just go ahead and lay some Mod Podge right over the top. I'm doing that because I want to do some dry brushing. There I am with my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, just very lightly dry brush because I didn't want it to be so vibrant. And then I'm going to go around all the edges with the white, and I'm going to paint the back white as well. And then I'm going to just lightly sand the back so it's smooth. Now I do seal the whole thing when I'm done with my polyacrylic protective finish. I decided that I wanted the edges to be a little bit distressed, so I used my burnt umber acrylic paint from Walmart, and I just used a little makeup sponge, and I went around the edges and I cleaned up any excess with a little wet paper towel. It's really not necessary to distress the edges. I just decided to do it. I'm not sure it added anything in the end. Got this little needle that I'm going to use. Actually, it's a big needle. And this is the twine I'm going to use. It's white twine from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put it through one side on the bottom and then the other so that you'll see in a minute what it's going to look like. So of the 4 holes, there'll be one going across to the one next to it and then another one going across to that one. So basically I doubled up the twine, and there you have now 4 pieces are sticking out, but it's really 8 because they're doubled up. Now I'm going to put some beads there because I want this to be able to stay stiff. I don't want the top one to fall down. I just thought these beads would look so pretty, and I left them unfinished. I ended up putting 6 beads under each one. So that's 6 times 4. And I got my beads on Amazon. That's the best deal I've ever found. And then I added 1 bead on the top, and I am going to get all of the strands, and I have to thread them through like 2 pieces at a time. And then I get 1 bead at the top. And I'm going to tie a knot right over that after I put the level to make sure that when it's hanging, it is going to be level. When I just did the knot, it was really hard to get it level. So by putting the bead there and holding that in place, that made it more even. I'm going to secure the top bead on each corner there, and then the bottom one on the bottom piece. I've got this hanger that broke, and I've got the metal part of it, and I just put it through the knot and into the hole of that bead and twisted it in, and it kind of screwed right in. And then I'm securing it with hot glue, and I'm going to then wrap that excess twine all the way around and make it look like it's really attached. But then I still don't like the way it looks, so I take another piece of twine and I just wrap it around the whole thing and kind of cover up the imperfections, and then go up a little higher on the hanger. And if that doesn't make sense, you will see what I'm doing and it will make more sense. It kind of cleans it up a little bit and makes it even more secure. I love this one. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys like it. Super easy. This definitely cost me under $5, and a lot of the stuff I had on hand, so that helped a lot. And I love that I was able to craft my stash to make this. I've really challenged myself to do that for many months ahead because I've got too much stuff. Do you guys have that same problem? Let me know down in the comments. DIY, I'm going to use some florals from the Dollar Tree, not that one as it turns out. Part of this decal, a pretty spring napkin, a little jar, and a picture, all from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to open it up and take out the glass and the backing. I'm not going to need the glass at all for this. I am going to need the backing, and I'll use that momentarily. And then I'm going to also use that contact paper. I forgot to mention that. I'm going to separate the 1-ply that's on the napkin because it's a 2-ply napkin. Of course, you got to remove that. And then I'm going to figure out how much I need because I want to decoupage the picture frame with that napkin. It's going to be so pretty. So I'm just going to cut out some strips that will be long enough and wide enough to get around the entire frame. And I measured everything. And I will have to piece it together, but no big deal because it's a busy pattern, you won't notice. And now I've got my Mod Podge. I'm going to apply it to the front, the side, a little bit of the back, and a little bit of the inside front. And just carefully lay that down in pieces and then just, pat it down. And then I'm going to continue. I'm just going to show you one side because then you'll know how to do the rest. And once I get that on, I'll go ahead and lay some Mod Podge right over the top of it. And I'm going to dry each section between application. Now I'm going to turn it over and apply Mod Podge all to the front there, and then lay that down and press it into the frame gently so I don't tear anything. The napkin starts to get wet from the Mod Podge, so you have to be really careful. You see, I'm just tapping it lightly, not pushing hard or anything. I don't want to rip it. And then I'm going to have to cut a little slit in the corners to make it fold under because it doesn't go up straight, obviously. I'm going to do that with the outside corners as well at an angle. Another slit across this one and cut on the diagonal. Doesn't have to be perfect because Mod Podging is very forgiving when you have a busy pattern like this. And besties, if you're enjoying this video, please do me a favor and hit the like button. And then I'm going to cut off the excess and just make sure that everything is covered in Mod Podge now and laying down flat. Now I'm drying it again. And then I'm going to, once it's dry, I can slightly just rip that napkin right off the edge. See, I'm doing it so carefully, little pieces by pieces. And that way it'll be a nice clean edge. And actually that's on the back. You wouldn't see it anyway, but I still tried to make it look nice. So there's one whole side done. And now the entire frame is done. I just think it's so, so pretty. Now I'm going to take that piece that's the backing of what was in there originally, and I'm going to lay it on top of this contact paper, and I'm going to cut out, roughly that size. Again, it doesn't have to be exact because we will trim it. I'm just kind of looking at it, making sure that I have enough, and I do. Then I'm going to take some cardboard, and I had to piece them together with tape that is the right size, and I'm going to go ahead and lay down the contact paper. I always start at one end and only reveal a little bit of the paper, and then as I slide the backing out, I rub it so that I don't get any bubbles or, any creases. I'm going to use my brayer to make it nice and flat against the surface. And then I'm going to take my little teeny scissors and I'm just going to cut around all 4 sides. Now I'm going to take my decal and I'm going to cut off that little extra embellishment on the side of the L because I don't really need it and it makes it too big. And I'm just figuring out where I'm going to position it. I'm going to take my little glass jar, put a little bit of that glue on it, and I've got this pretty green ribbon and I'm going to wrap it all the way around and secure it with glue. Now I'm going to go through all my little flower scraps that I have, and I'm just going to piece some really pretty colors together that I think will look good with that frame. So I'm going to get the backing in the frame, nice and secure, and then the actual backing. So the piece I did and then the backing, I'm going to push down the little tabs to make sure it's in there. Then I'm going to remove the decal from the backing, and I'm going to apply it where I would like it to be, right on the contact paper. And you can see it kind of started sticking, but it comes right up because it's just a contact paper. It's a nice smooth surface, so it doesn't take any of it with it, and I can reposition it and fix it. And you just press that down. Now I decided I want to add some more ribbon around this because you can see the little ends of the flowers. So I did that. I secured the flowers in with a dab of hot glue, and now I am putting the little glass jar on the picture with some hot glue, and I think it's super, super cute. Now I want to add a little flower and a butterfly. I'm going to just put those in individually with hot glue just to give it a little more color and fullness. Now I want to put a hanger on. I probably should have done that first. I always forget that. Do you ever forget to put your hanger on until afterwards? Please tell me I'm not the only one. So I'm going to put it on with hot glue. It's just a piece of rope. I'm going to cut those little edges, and then I'm going to take a piece of masking tape. I like to do this to secure the pictures. I actually got that tip from Holly at Hot Humble Pie. I love that idea, and you just go ahead and glue it down, and it really, really is secure now. That thing isn't going anywhere. So I'll put Holly's link down below in case you want to check her out. She's awesome. And now I felt like it was too bright, you know, compared to everything else that I have, so I just whitewashed it with my white chalk paint. You guys, I love this so much. It's beautiful, it's vibrant, and it's so spring-like. And it was under $5 to make. DIY, I'm using this mason jar shape from the Dollar Tree, the contact paper that I love, a little piece of faux leather ribbon from the Dollar Tree, a little flower shape from Dollar Tree, and then I've got these little butterflies that I ordered online. It's going to take a lot of heat from my heat tool and a lot of scraping to get that felt flower leaf stuff off, which I finally did. I sanded it too. Now I'm going to put a coat of the Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint on it, and then I'm going to dry that off, and I'm going to paint the entire thing. And I'm going to sand it down just to make it nice and smooth. Then I'm going to take my contact paper and I'm going to put a piece on each side just below the threads of the jar top. And I'm just going to put the top on there and then slowly pull the backing out. That way I don't get any bubbles or anything. And I'm going to smooth it out with my brayer, which is also from Amazon. I'm going to use a little utility knife and cut the excess off. And there you have it, both sides now. And I did sand around the edges too. I'm going to use my bright yellow apple barrel acrylic paint for one of the butterflies. And then I'm going to use my Arteza paint markers for the other two. And I believe this one is fuchsia. I hope I'm remembering correctly. And then the next one is bright orange. Now for this little flower, I started off with the linen white paint, and then I started using like a pink and a yellow, and I decided I didn't like it, so then I brought out this aqua color by Folk Art. I started kind of mixing that in while the paint was still wet. Still didn't quite give me what I was looking for. Eventually, I brought out my agave chalk paint by Waverly, and that was, it's just a more pigmented color. And then I really started dry brushing over the edges and then doing a lot more than dry brushing, even more, added a little more yellow, and then some white in the center. Anyway, I finally got it the way I liked it. I kind of just tapped it a little with my paper towel just to blur that white a little bit. But I think it's good now. And then I decided that the colors on the butterflies were too bright, so I put a little white over them just to kind of whitewash them. And that toned them down, and then it looked really good together. Now I'm going to place the flower kind of to the bottom left. I'm going to use some hot glue to put that on there. That's all it needs. It's super, super light. And then I will attach all three of the butterflies in just, random places on the mason jar. And I think they just look so, so cute. Now I'm going to take that faux leather ribbon from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to cut it down the middle, not exactly down the middle, but I want a thinner piece because when I looked to see that thread area, it was too wide. So I'm just going to hot glue very carefully so it doesn't get bumpy, in a couple of places as you go all the way around. But now the problem is I wasn't thinking I was going to leave it white and now you can't see that faux leather. I thought, okay, I'm going to use something else that brings a little color into it. So once I get this guy attached here, I'm going to take some yellow and white twine from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to hot glue that around those threads using this tacky glue. I just got it and I wanted to try it out. It's supposed to set up a little faster than regular glue, and it does. I wish it was still faster, but you know what? It's better than using just regular glue, so I'll give it that. And I'm going to do these right at the top of the contact paper and then around the little threads. But now you still can't see the white faux leather, so I'm going to dry brush some of that agave on between the yellow and white twine and over the top and on the sides. And I think that helps bring out the white faux leather. You guys, I love this one. You have to tell me what you think. I just love the color so much. This was definitely under $5, probably between $3 and $4. What a deal. And now for one last look at all 4 of these fun, easy spring DIYs, all from Dollar Tree, all under $5. You guys, you can't beat that price. Please let me know which one is your favorite. I think the butterfly Be Humble sign is my favorite, but let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear what your favorite was. I love them. I hope you love them too.
Thanks for watching my mommy's video. She says that you are a blessing to her, and that makes me a little jealous, but I'm happy for you. Anyway, I hope you'll come back and watch more of my mommy's videos. Bye!
If you like this video, I've got a couple other videos up here that I think you'll really like, so click on one of those next, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!